So I'm Noah. I'm a sophomore at Stanford University, and I'm currently studying biology. But I find that computer science is really interesting, which is why I wanted to help section lead this. And so today we're going to be talking about variables, and variables are basically a way to change are changing values throughout your code. And it's really not too complex if you've ever done high school algebra or anything. It's the variable concept is pretty similar, and we're going to see how it really helps in our code today. And so in our code today, I'm going to share the screen real quick. We're going to be writing a program that calculates a user's weight on the moon based on their weight on Earth. So for some math background, your weight on the moon is 16.5% of your weight on Earth. This means that if you multiply your weight on Earth by 0.165, as you see it up here, it gives you your weight on the moon. So let's write that up. So your weight on the moon, I'll make a variable called moon weight is equal to your weight on the earth weight, times moon multiple, which is the constant we wrote up here. Seems pretty simple. So, but there's one problem. Earth weight, we don't know what earth weight is right now. So we're going to ask the user, earth weight equals input, what is your weight on Earth? Question mark. And this is nice, but this whole this all returns a string, which means that this right here is a string since they're equal to each other, which means that we're doing a string times a number, which doesn't make much sense because moon weight can't equal a string times a number. So we're going to turn this value into an integer or a numerical value. We're going to call it's a float, which is decimal. It's a decimal. So we're going to do earth weight equals, actually we'll make this a new variable first. So we'll make sure that we know that this is a string. So I'll put earth weight string. And now here we're going to have earth weight. And so we're going to make that earth. We want this to be a numerical value, not as a float. And so we're going to set that equal to earth weight string. And here we're going to, but the only problem is that this equals a string while this equals a numerical value. So that's a problem. So in order to solve this problem, we're going to put a float. It's called casting. And we're going to, this basically it takes this, and when you put the float around it, it turns it into numerical value. So basically if 55 was a string and you put a float around it, it would turn 55 into a float, which is like 55.0. It basically turns it into numerical value, which is all you need to know. And this so now that this is a numerical value, we can now properly find the moon weight, because we can do moon weight equals earth weight, some number, times moon multiple, which is 0.165. So that's great. Now let's tell our user. So when we print, I'm going to print a string, your weight on Earth on the moon is moon weight. So let's say the moon weight was 22. It would print your weight on the moon is 22. This is just concatenation. We're concatenating two strings. The only problem is that this, as we said earlier, is a numerical value. It's not a string. So it's pretty simple to turn this value into a string. So we're going to string, put str around the value we want represented as a string. An important thing to note is that when you cast variables, such as when we cast this and when we cast this, this isn't this doesn't change the initial value of the variable. It doesn't affect, putting this into a string does not make this a string, and putting this into a float does not make this a float. They still maintain their original data value types. And so when we run this code, it'll say print, or it'll say your weight on the moon is such and such, and we can even say like pounds also. And now we're done.